I think I will try and give a CEO perspective on this entire issue.
Yeah.
I think the kind of downturn that we are in the midst of, it's a complete VUCA kind of a situation. Frankly, companies that take the right decisions in a crisis are the companies that emerge much stronger and much better compared to competition. So I think, like Winston Churchill said, a crisis is not a time to waste at all. So companies that embrace change, companies that take tough decisions, companies that are able to really take some fundamental decisions for reorganizing, refocusing, and re-engineering, I think those companies will come out very much on top. But I also want to mention a little bit in terms of the economy as a whole. IMF initially came up that India's GDP 2021 will be at 1.9%. Then they amended that to maybe about minus 2%. The latest IMF forecast is a minus 4.5% for India's GDP FY21. Goldman Sachs pegs it at 5%, and I've seen a report of Citibank July 6 that pegs it at 6%. Quite frankly, it's a moving target. Where it ends up, where it lands, we don't really know. But suffice it to say, it'll be somewhere in the 5 to 6.5%, 7% range in terms of FY21. Far worse than I thought. I thought India will bounce back, agri being good, etc. But probably all the other linkages, imports, exports, global demand, domestic consumption, transportation, logistics, all of that is kind of making the situation. But I would have been happy to see a minus 2% decline in GDP, but it's likely to be more like minus 6%. Against that, advanced economies are likely to be in the 7 to 8% kind of a range, and probably 9%. And even per capita income in India is likely to shrink by about 4%. What does this all mean? What it means is a complete focus in terms of cash flows, in terms of managing demand uncertainty. Pent-up demand might probably compel you to overestimate demand, and that overestimated demand may not really be there. I would only urge that frugality is a virtue in these difficult times. While there can be a good upside, I'm very happy to say in the month of June, for example, many companies in our kind of a sector have seen a positive growth, while May would have been probably about 60% of the normal. Quite similarly in the case of the paint industry, for example. So I've been having some conversations around this. So clearly Q2, that is okay, Q2 of the financial year, and I'm talking of the July to September quarter, is likely to be an improvement in terms of June. However, I also hear that in some of the consumption-led sectors, what's happening is, while there was a lot of pent-up demand and it came up, now there is a demand sluggishness that is being seen. I would say that next year, 21-22, India could very well witness an 8% GDP growth. Companies that prepare for that kind of a GDP growth and put into place the right systems, processes, etc., will benefit enormously. Coming to our industry, another thing that's a very important happening is what's happening with China and the government stance on China. Clearly, a lot of raw materials and a lot of electronic components, etc., solid-state electronics, the industry is dependent on the consumer electrical side in terms of China. So a lot is happening in terms of identifying alternate supply chains from Japan, Korea, Taiwan, etc. It also implies looking at a Turkey, which has been an important hub for some of the products, and cost escalations come alongside that. So there can certainly be a cost push because nobody can match China's volumes and pricing at this point. I think with these opening remarks, I would say that tough times ahead, but when the going gets tough, the tough get going. So it's going to be an asset test for management. It's going to be an acid test for leadership. And it's going to be an acid test for government and industry interface to work out things that are good for India in the medium to long term. In the short term, we are all groping in the dark.